I'm going to show you how we can go from a picture just like this to...
Hey, so I just got this Optimum Nutrition Whey. Honestly, it helps a ton after tough workouts.
From this picture to...
Okay, so I've been using these Lemme hair gummies. Just look at this packaging. It's actually so cute.
The text is there, the images, the logos, even the lighting, the glare on the actual bottle, you can see it. Amazing. This is still insane that they were able to generate this all from literally this. That's crazy. In this video, I'm going to show you the best AI video generation methods within N8N so you can create unlimited UGC videos. This works if you have a physical product, if you're in e-commerce, or if you have some type of digital product, some type of SaaS, etc. We're going to show you how to cook up these UGC videos that you can bring any character from anywhere. If you don't want to build this entire automation from scratch, feel free to join my school community. Right now it's free, but only for the first 150 members. And once you're in the group, you can grab this full AI automation, this full template. This Friday, actually, we're going to have a live interview with an AI investor and a venture capitalist who is responsible for over $50 million in funding. Each part of this automation basically has different segments. This first segment is all about the input. And this trigger is basically just waiting for me to send a message to Telegram for what I want to create. And you can see I keep it real simple. All I do is I literally just put in the product and then whatever character that I want inside of a Canva project. One thing to notice is both of these products are on isolated backgrounds. What you don't want to do is bring in something like this that has a background, has other elements, because in this automation, it's not going to be able to figure out and isolate the background on its own. And so as you can see, this bot is called the UGC maker. So in order to create the credential in Telegram, what you're going to need to do is, let's say I wanted to create a new one, you're going to need an access token. And so to get the access token, let's go to Telegram, and then you're going to search. So you can start a new chat, and you're going to search for BotFather. Everybody already has BotFather in their contacts. It's like Telegram's own bot creator, but you're just going to press start, and this is going to pull up all these different options. What you're going to do is go to /new bot. I'm just going to call mine UGC V2. There we go. And as you can see, the new bot has been created. And the most important thing we need is, so you're just going to copy this entire token into here. And that's how you connect Telegram with N8N. And I'll actually run you through an actual example of using this to create UGC so you can see every node working. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a product. Looks like gummy bears. So I'm going to go ahead and try to find just like an isolated picture of it. You can see here, this is what we want. We got just the product. And then I also need a character. I like to just do female cartoon characters. So we'll just use this picture of Pocahontas. And you can leave the character image with a background. You can keep it super simple. I'm just going to take a screenshot here and then I'm going to say create a luxury UGC with this character, Pocahontas, promoting these gummy bears. And I'm going to say my seconds, 15. I'm going to say where I want her at, alone in her bedroom. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in the image there. So now I'm going to go ahead, execute the step. That's going to make the Telegram trigger start listening for me to text the Telegram chat something. And as you can see, since I already sent it before, you can see I already sent it 3:37, it's 3:38. That's why I was able to get it so quickly. So it's really creating a photo ID for the picture you sent in there. And as you can see, there is multiple. So there's photo 0, photo 1, and photo 2, even though I only sent one picture. That's because Telegram will send back 3 different file sizes. So this one is obviously super low res, while these are larger and larger. So in the future, you're going to see why that's valuable. And then of course it brings in that actual caption, which is the chat that I actually sent through. The next node we need is just this edit fields to set a variable that we're going to need later, which is the bot ID given to us by BotFather. And so this was called the HTTP API, but really it's also the bot ID. You're going to want to add that inside this string by just copying and pasting again from Telegram. And then just to keep going after that, we have basically the get image path. So this is what actually creates a URL for the pictures. So later on, just like the same way you would prompt GPT and say, hey, I want to generate an image based on this reference image, and you have to actually attach the reference image. What we're doing now is generating a URL. So that's what this get node is doing right here. This next node is basically just there to describe that reference image you created. The most important thing here is they want to get the brand name. This is how you make sure you get the accurate brand name actually in the videos and not just random letters. So we're literally just having this GPT node basically describe everything about our image. Who's the character in there? What's the product? So that's why this is necessary. And I'm going to go ahead and run this so you can see what it outputs. And as you can see, that was super quick. And we definitely want it in this YAML format. It's basically telling us, okay, the product brand name is Funday. This is the hex color of the actual packaging, etc. And then you also have the font style, so we can make sure to get the font actually correct too. And so this next node here is literally just basically keeping you updated. It's sending a message to your Telegram saying everything is working fine. You can change this text to whatever you want to. I just did this because y'all know I'm swaggy. So if I execute this, then as you can see in my UGC maker, we now have, yes, sir, creating your video now. So it's basically just giving you live updates, because once you're running this in the background, you know, if you're just running this and let it run, you want to know what's going on. You want to know which step of the process your automation is in. And so now here is where we get in really to the serious node. And so this first AI agent here, this is where things might start looking confusing, but basically think of it as everything starts here and then works its way up. What the actual process is of this automation is that first and foremost, it creates the first frame of the video with this image generation section. You're probably wondering, like, can't we just put the Canva picture inside, you know, whatever video generation platform we're using? No, you have to actually generate a real image of what the video is going to look like. And then you go to Veo3 and say, now generate a video exactly based on the image. And then this step is what creates the actual video. It's going to be multiple video clips, because Veo3 I think has a maximum of 8 seconds. So if you want like a 30-second video, you're going to start generating multiple of the clips in here. And then the last step is where we use FFmpeg to essentially combine all those clips together into one seamless video. But the first thing we need to do is make sure that we have an image prompt that will create the best possible first frame for that video. So that's what this agent is for. And so as you can see here, we have it basically with a user prompt and a system prompt. And the user prompt is always going to be light, and it's feeding it the instructions that I gave in Telegram. And it's also giving the description of the reference. The most important thing is always going to be the system message. What context does the system have to generate this prompt? And you can see here, we basically give it the style. If you want to change the style, if you're like, I like UGC, but I want something more hyper creative or cinematic, or if you want something more imperfect, etc. If you want to change the style, this is where you do it at, all in this system prompt here. And so I also have this structured output parser. This is important because once you're going to that later node to create the image and key a, but in order to prompt it correctly, there are certain guidelines you have to. So that's why we have this structured output parser, so that the image prompt comes out in this exact format instead of just something. And one thing I noticed when I was going through this, if you just create an agent node, you can see this one looks different than what this one only has the 3 different outputs, while mine has this 4th output parser. And that's the only way you can connect this node. So if you want to make sure you can do that, you just want to check off this require specific output format. And now, as you can see, you now have the option to connect a structured output parser. So that's just one thing you want to make sure you pick up on. That tripped me up for a little bit, but I want to make sure you guys know about that type of stuff. And so now it's basically creating that image prompt from the reference image. See, it ran successfully, and we have the action of the image, and the character holding the gummy bears, naturally smiling and looking at the camera, modern luxury bedroom. This is luxury UGC. You know what's going on. Gummy bears is the product, vibrant green Funday sour gummy bears packet. Exactly. So we got a clear description of the actual product in there too. And then for the character, we've got, they're doing Pocahontas dirty with this description, but y'all know how it is. Attractive woman, light brown skin tone, long straight dark brown hair, etc., etc. So now if we go to the next node, this is where you're actually going to be generating the image. This is the main engine of this automation. Make this an HTTP request node, and you're going to choose post. And then for the URL, you can see we're using Key AI. It's basically an API aggregator. We're gonna go in, we're gonna go ahead and pick the 4.0 image API, and that's gonna allow us just to see all the details of how we can actually configure that node. So if we go to the 4.0 image API key, so this way you can actually request and make requests. Purposefully showing my API key. I know I am. I'm just doing this because I know I'm going to change it. I'm never going to use this again. But basically, you're going to enable send headers. You're going to do the authentication and none instead of trying to do the generic credential type, etc. All you have to do is just send headers, the name to authorization, and then the value to the word bearer, and then your API key. Enable send body. You're going to change the content type to JSON, specify the body using JSON, and they're going to use this format. So you're going to use the files URL, first image from Telegram, so they have an idea of the product, of the character, etc. Then you're obviously going to add that along with the prompt. This one right here. Size of the image, the aspect ratio is what we already created to from that agent here. So this one is going to be 2:3 vertical. Go to documentation. You'll always get right with figuring out how to configure your automation. The body, you can also see the other variables they require. The size, aspect ratio, the prompt. You can see files URL. So it's telling you all the different variables you can use and the format of how you need to lay it out. And then if you just send this full screenshot to GPT, you could just ask it more questions and have it be your personal API assistant. And if you want to take full page screenshots, this is a quick tangent. All you got to do is download this Chrome extension called Go Full Page. What it'll do for you is literally, if you press one button, it'll literally screenshot your entire page and scroll and everything. So like if I wanted to screenshot this entire page, I have Arc browser, so I can't just click my Chrome extensions. I have to like search them. But if I just literally press Go Full Page, you can see screen capture in progress. It's literally scrolling for me, and it just screenshotted the entire page. And if I go into create image and then execute that, so now we got a 200 code, my favorite. You guys know if you were ever generating images with GPT or Midjourney, it takes a little bit of time. So if we go back, if I go back to this screen in Key AI, which has the API key and everything, I can go to logs. And so logs will show you everything that you've ran. It's not showing me anything because this is runway. But if I go to 4.0 image, you can see this one right here is still running. So it's still taking a little bit of time, which is why we have this wait node. So if you're running this in the background and not going behind the scenes, you don't want to just quickly try to get the image before it's ready. So that's why we have this wait node, and I have it set on 60 seconds. I'm just for now going to put it on 5 seconds because I'm just going to manually wait for it to be finished and then keep going through with the automation. So now if I go back into Key AI, you can see it was successful, and here's the result URL. So let's go ahead and look at that. Now you can see it generated that image of Pocahontas holding the gummy bear. Still insane that they were able to generate this all from literally this. That's crazy. Now the next node is basically just getting the actual image URL, so you don't have to go inside Key AI and find the URL. You can just get it right here. All we have to do for that is use a similar endpoint URL, the api.keyai GPT-4o image, except this time instead of generate, we're doing record info. All we need to do is authentication, same as last time. You're going to do none there, but you're going to add your header and do the same thing, authorization with the bearer and then your API key. And same thing with the content type, application JSON. No body on this one. All we're going to do is send a query parameter, and that query parameter is just going to be task ID. And I'm purposefully making sure that name matches up with this in terms of uppercase, lowercase, etc. We're just going to add that here so we can send the task ID. This, as you can see, is going to give us the result URL. So we could, if we wanted to, we could have just copied that and then went crazy and saw it here. So if notice here, essentially, in order to keep going with the automation, is going to make sure that it's successful. So that success flag to 1 in order to keep moving in the automation. That's all this if node is doing. That means it's just not ready yet. So all it's going to do is go back to your wait node here. You can see that's where that line is connecting to. And it's just going to wait, you know, whatever you put that to, 60 seconds, 100 seconds, etc. I recommend putting it at 60. So we're going to just wait another minute until it's done. There, we go to the actual video prompt generation with the AI agent. That's all this is here. And it's set up similar to before, where we have the structured output parser, because obviously we need a certain actual output format. And for this one, it is different. You can see this one is obviously video prompt instead of image prompt. And instead of the scene setting and everything before, we have dialogue, action, camera, etc. So all these are obviously needed. And then as you can see, the model we're going to use here is defined. It's VO3 fast. VO3, you can obviously choose between VO3 fast and just regular VO3. Both of them, like we see, create 8-second maximum videos. That's why we need to create multiple and combine them together. This one is obviously optimized for speed. This one is for video quality. I honestly think there's not too big of a drop off, but you can test that on your own. They actually just recently had a price update on September 8th, where for VO3 fast, it's now 60 credits, which is around 30 cents, where it was 40 cents before. And for VO3 quality, it's about $1.25, down from $2. Keep going here. We obviously have this agent also connected to this ChatGPT module, so we don't have to make another one, and also to the tool, and also to the Think node too, so we don't have to create another one of those. And for this prompt, the user message is similar to the image, but just changed for video. So create video prompts as guided by your guidelines. So the dialogue is the most important thing. This is a UGC video at the end of the day. So what they're actually saying is one of the most important things we can control. So as you can see, we're restraining it, so it only talks about the product and the benefits based around it. So as you can see, if it's a drink, talk about the taste, etc. Because I have seen times where it's like talking about a drink and it's like, oh, this drink is so purple. So it's like we need to make sure we're guiding it to talk about the relevant parts of the product. So you can obviously change this as you want. And we'll even have the character mention the brand name, but only in the first scene, so it's not super repetitive. And again, this is where you change your style. This is where if you don't like a certain UGC, or if you want it to be more cinematic or surreal, this is where you change it at. So for me, you can see I have one that's a luxury UGC, upscale, polished, etc., but still casual. But I also have another one that is everyday realism, amateur quality iPhone, slightly imperfect framing and lighting, candid poses. So there's varying levels of UGC quality you can do. I chose to go more luxury, but obviously you can change this accordingly to whatever your taste and preference is. Some important factors to make sure it's always returning value with these fields, because like you saw before, the fields are what specifically is what the API is asking for. So it has to match up. You can't have scenes be called frames or be called episodes. It has to be called scenes. So if we go ahead and run this agent, let's go ahead and get the video prompt for what we're going to run in Google Veo3. So we got our video prompt. And it's going kind of crazy. Found these Fun Day Sour Gummy Bears. Honestly love the brand and their whole no sugar added thing. So you see, it's still casual language. Everybody is here for creating the actual video. So for this, we're going to use Key AI again. You guys remember Key AI? It is the aggregator that has both video generation tools and image generation tools. And we're going to use Google Veo3. The documentation, like we did before, you can see this is the URL we need to use, where it's basically just this API.keyai and then / everything here. You can see I have this set up. Notably, notice there's no 3 right there. So don't make the same mistake I did and add a 3 and wonder why you're getting an error every single time. So you're going to have this as a URL endpoint. For the headers, same thing as before. I'm obviously not going to be using this API key anymore. That's why I'm showing it to y'all. But you're going to send your headers. You're going to use authorization as the name. And then you're going to have this as the value, just bear, and then your API key. Body you're going to send this time is raw. And the content type is this application/JSON. And then for the prompt, you're going to use this. So this is the actual specifications they need. They need the prompt variable, the model variable, the aspect ratio, and the image URLs. And so this image URL is basically coming from the image you generated, and you're just going to connect it back through the same node we used before to get the link to the image. And then obviously you're going to add your prompt in there. from what you generated in your agent. You're probably wondering, what is all of this dot replace blah, blah, blah? So all of this is essentially, I manually added this. So it's not going to just automatically happen for you. What this does is, as you can see in here, there's these backslash ns. Those are just new line breaks. So you want to make sure you're excluding those and making sure that it's coming in the right format into Veo3. You can copy mine exactly, and it'll give you the exact same output. If you're worrying about if you're still having errors, use GPT, screenshot, ask it questions, or just leave a comment and I got you, because I probably ran into it before a bunch of times. No output there was because you want to run this split out node. So like we saw, Veo3 can only generate 8-second videos. So there's multiple clips, there's multiple prompts for each scene. So that's why you want to make sure you split out the output dot scenes, which is just grabbed from here and just put there. That's all you have to do. And then once I run this, I'm gonna go ahead and pin that, so I don't have to do it again. You're gonna see 2 items, so it's split out both of the different prompts for each video. And so now everything here is ready to go. So if I run this, and actually we can just go back, I'll show y'all the positive, because you know all we see is green success. It's like, no, I saw so many errors in creating this. So if you do have questions, deadass, just ask me in the comments and I got you. Issues here. What really helped me the most was going into the documentation for Veo3. So again, it's just going to the documentation and seeing, okay, curl is probably my best bet for seeing what to reference, because that's connected to HTTP. You can see here, this is the endpoint. So if there's any issues in the endpoint, this is what you need to be looking at. You can see this is what you need to do for the header. And then for the actual body, you can see prompt, model, aspect ratio, model, aspect ratio. So if you're running into any issues, always check the documentation, use that as your reference. And once again, screenshot the entire page with the Go Full Page Chrome extension, and then ask GPT if you have questions. That's successful. I'm purposefully not going to check it super quick because I know it's probably going to take a minute because it's fully generating a video. So that always takes a little bit of time. I've seen people put this on 600 and just wait 10 minutes and just chill, because if you're running this as automation in the background, you don't want to have to be coming back and forth and just waiting for this to run over and over. So I've seen people put this at 600. I'm putting it at 100 just to show you, but I'm actually just going to wait until it's finished and then keep going. So I'm just going to set that to 5. Go back to my dashboard and go to logs. If I go to Veo3, you can see both of these videos are now running. I'm just going to run this wait node so we can just go through to the next one. Should be 5 seconds. Yep, there we go. Going to pin this. And then to get the video link, looks like we got the image link. We're going to go ahead and run this. And for that, we're going to add record info. So we're just changing the endpoint accordingly just to do whatever action we need to do. And the query parameter, just like we did with the image, is once again the task ID. So you just type that in here and then add that variable right in the value there. And then of course the header, y'all know what to do. Same thing as before. So we now should get success, and we should get the URLs for each video. Go ahead and click this so y'all can get a little preview, a little taste. Product around, she obviously looks super realistic. So this is the making of, I feel like, the next generation of UGC videos, where the better you can get at this, the better you'll be at marketing and influencer marketing going forward. You can create your own influencers, create your own UGC at scale every single second of the day. Now we have both the video links, so we can go ahead and pin that. And then now we have the aggregate. So the aggregate node here is literally just aggregating this data response result URLs. So if we go down here, data response result URLs, we're just aggregating both of them together. And you can see it's 2 items. So it's basically not showing you the other one, but it's just going to bring them both together so we can combine them into one video. Go ahead and run this. And then if we go up here to step 3, combining the clips, Now we're going to step away from Key AI into FFmpeg, which is an open source software that lets you do a lot of video handling, video editing, etc. And so what we're going to use FFmpeg through is through another API aggregator that's similar to Key AI, but this one, AI, they even have their own Veo3 API too. And you can see they just had a price drop on there. So I'm assuming Google Veo3 just had a API price drop, and they also have Nano Banana. So a bunch of good image generators, video generators. But of course, what we're looking for is FFmpeg. So if we just search that, you can see there's different video automated things you can do with FFmpeg. We're going to be using merge videos to merge them together. Since we're using the API, we're looking straight for the documentation. And that's where we are right here. And as you can see, the URL is this right here, q.file.run/file.ai. I'm not going to read the rest, but you can see. So as you can see here, we already had that URL down packed inside the endpoint. But going back to the merge videos documentation, we obviously need to set up a body so we can tell the actual FFmpeg API what to do in merging our videos. So as you can see in the schema, the main input that we're going to be adding in here is video URLs. And you can see this one is required too. So that's really the only one you need to be worried about, unless you're worried about your frames per second and your resolution. And so you can see here, send body using JSON, and that JSON is going to be the video URLs. And then we're going to make sure we drag in. And you're also going to notice the same way we had dot replace before. We have some extra stuff here that you may or may not need to include. If you do have the same output, feel free to copy mine exactly. If you don't, feel free to ask GPT or leave a comment if you just have questions, period. See if it'll rock. You can see it says NQ. So if we go to File AI, we can obviously check on the progress just like we did in Key AI. If I go to requests, I can see bingo. So it looks like it's already finished up. And if it is, then our next nodes will work perfectly. So now if we keep going through here, I'm going to pin this. We have a wait node just in case. Obviously, this one can be way less. I have it at 6 seconds. For this one, I'm just going to put it at 2 so we can hurry up and get through it. I'm going to pin that. And so this last HTTP request is similar to the other ones before, where it's getting the link. This one is doing the exact same thing. It's just getting those links for you. All we're going to do is add in that response URL from the combined clips. That's all this is here. Just drag that right in there. And then same thing for the authentication. You're going to do the generic credential type, everything you did in that last File AI node. No body needed. Literally just need that response URL. It's going to tell us what the response is. So if we go here and we execute that, so now it'll give us all the details of that merged video. So it'll tell us it's 24 frames per second. It's going to be 1280 by 720. So if you want to make that 1080 by 1920 or 4K, just got to make sure you set that in that last node here in that combined clips node. And you're changing the body to not just include video URLs, but to also include the resolution, just like you can see inside of this schema part of the contents in that API documentation. So as you can see here, this is how you change it if you want to make sure that it's 1080 by 1920 or 4K. And so now that we have this down pat, we actually have the video URL tucked in here. This is the end video URL that has both the videos combined, which is your final video. So without further ado, this if node is basically saying if the video URL is not empty, go ahead and keep going. But if it is empty, run it back. Go back to the wait until it's done. Now we have our final node, which is just sending the video right to our Telegram, right back to where it all started. And you can see the chat ID. You can drag this in. Sometimes it may say you need to like unpin, execute again. So if it does say that, you can just copy this and then just put it in there as the actual number. And then for the video, because we have the operation set at not just send message, but send a video, the video we're going to send is that URL right here that we just generated. And we run this. So now you have in your notifications your first UGC video created.
Found these Fun Day sour gummy bears. Honestly, love the brand and their whole no sugar added thing. They taste super tangy, and the best part, no weird aftertaste, just sweet and sour.
You have now your first official UGC video sent straight to you in Telegram, all from this. So you've now went from this to this.
Found these Fun Day sour gummy bears.
In just a few minutes. And the beauty in this, the real edge is generating this at scale, is if you run an e-commerce company, if you run any type of SaaS platform, if you're running ads, you can create different variations of ads now at a crazy scale, because you can just test with all these different formats with different characters, different environments, different rooms, etc. So the game has now changed. E-commerce will never be the same. Anybody with TikTok Shop should be using this expeditiously, like yesterday. This is ridiculous. You can now put your favorite characters promoting your products.